Vice President J.D. Vance warned Elon Musk against forming a third political party, saying he will be able to wield more influence by staying loyal to the Republican Party and President Donald Trump's MAGA movement. Vance's comments came after reports claimed Musk is pausing his plans to start the American Party to focus on his companies. According to the Wall Street Journal, Musk allies said he has not officially ruled out creating the new party and might as well change his mind later. Musk has a proven track record of entering stagnant industries and turning them on their heads. Elon Musk forming a third party could open up space for new ideas in a gridlock system, but only if it's rooted in serious policy, not personality. If done thoughtfully, it could be historic. If done impulsively, it could just be a vanity project that helps no one.
Republican Party's doing, my advice to Elon would be try to fix the Republican Party. Try to push it in your own way. Disagree with me all you want, disagree with the President of the United States, but don't pretend that you can make a big difference with a third party. I think Elon would make a much bigger difference if he stayed loyal to President Trump's Republican Party, and if he had disagreements, express those disagreements from the inside as opposed to from the outside.
US President Donald Trump has said that Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu and he are war heroes, while praising the US strike on Iran's nuclear facilities. Trump also slammed the International Criminal Court for its arrest warrant against Netanyahu. Moreover, the Trump administration imposed sanctions on 4 court officials, including a judge from France, for their involvement in cases against Israeli leaders. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced the measures, calling the ICC a threat to national security and accusing it of targeting American and Israeli citizens without their nation's consent. Trump has consistently positioned himself as the center of gravity in any situation. Trump calling himself and Netanyahu war heroes is less about honoring military services and more about owning the narrative. It's performative politics aimed at rallying supporters, dominating headlines, and portraying himself as a global strongman. But leadership isn't about stealing the spotlight. It's about earning it through action, integrity, and real sacrifice. India successfully tested the Agni-5, an intermediate-range ballistic missile capable of striking targets up to 5,000 km away. Demonstrating the country's strategic military strength, the Defense Ministry said the test firing was carried out from the Integrated Test Range in Chandipur, Odisha, under the supervision of the Strategic Forces Command, and validated all operational and technical parameters. The Agni-5 can cover almost the entire Asian continent, including northern China, as well as parts of Europe, making it a key component of India's nuclear deterrence. India's recent advancements in defense, especially the successful test of Agni-5, reflect a clear shift towards strategic self-reliance, credible deterrence, and preparedness in an increasingly volatile geopolitical environment. If India continues on this trajectory, firm in defense, wise in diplomacy, it can emerge not just as a powerful nation but as a stabilizing force in an uncertain world. Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy, a former Supreme Court judge who has been nominated as the India Bloc's candidate for the vice presidential election, on Wednesday lauded Congress leader Rahul Gandhi. Reddy quoted Ram Manohar Lohia saying, "Jab sadak khamosh hai, sadan awara hoti hai. When the streets are silent, the house becomes unruly," and said, Rahul Gandhi doesn't allow the streets to be silent. It has become his second nature and a habit, and it is part of his journey to face one challenge after the other. He successfully persuaded the Telangana government to do it in a systematic manner. Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy's nomination for the vice president by the India Bloc, coupled with his public admiration of Rahul Gandhi, is a politically symbolic move and a revealing one. When a former Supreme Court judge uses his platform to quote Lohia and praise political activism, it signals an evolving intersection between judiciary, civil society, and mass politics.
I come from that school of thought. लोहिया जी की एक बात याद आ गई, जब सड़क खामोश है, सदन आवारा करती है. That gap, what should I say? Shri Rahul ji, he doesn't allow the street to be silent. But it has become his second nature and a habit. And it is part of his journey now to face one challenge after the other, one crisis after the crisis. He was raising the issues of Jati Ganna, and he successfully persuaded the government of Telangana to do it in the systematic manner.
Actor Akshay Kumar and Arshad Varsi, along with director Subhash Kapoor, have been issued summons by civil court in Pune for allegedly disrespecting the judiciary in their upcoming film Jolly LLB. The summons were issued following a petition filed by lawyer Wajid Rahim Khan. The court has directed the three to appear in person on October 28 at 11 a.m. According to advocate Wajid Rahim Khan, the action follows a petition filed by him, alleging that the film mocks the legal system and disrespects court proceedings. In the plea, he objected to the portrayal of the legal profession in a negative light and raised concerns over a scene where judges are referred to as mama, a slang term. Just days after the BCCI Men's Selection Committee overlooked Shreyas Iyer for the 15-man Asia Cup squad. The latest reports seem to be doing some compensation for it. Iyer, who led two different IPL teams to finals in back-to-back seasons, even winning a title with one, is now leading the race to replace Rohit Sharma as Team India's new ODI captain. Following a snap from the 8-team tournament starting September 29 in the UAE and to be played in the T20 format, Iyer is said to be ahead of Shubman Gill, whom Ajit Agarkar, BCCI's chief selector, hinted at assuming captaincy across all formats earlier. As tensions erupt between US President Donald Trump and PM Modi, former US Ambassador to the UN, Republican leader, and the first Indian American to serve in a presidential cabinet, Nikki Haley, urged Washington to repair ties with New Delhi. She warned that allowing decades of progress in relations to unravel would be a strategic disaster. Haley described India as a prized, free, and democratic partner and stressed that its rise should be welcomed as a stabilizing force to the free world. Unlike communist-controlled China, which she argued poses a direct challenge to global order, Haley argued that building a stronger US-India partnership should be an obvious priority, calling it a no-brainer in the effort to check Beijing's influence. The US-India relationship is simply too important. Leaders change, but partnerships built on shared values and interests must endure. Rebuilding trust with India isn't just diplomacy, it's a strategy, and Haley's voice is both a reminder and a warning. Ashish Khanna, Director General ISA, said by the end of the year, the International Solar Alliance will set up 17 centers of excellence in as many countries and going ahead, establish a global capability center in India similar to our Silicon Valley of solar. Several countries are looking to engineers from India to supply the vital human capital necessary to implement solar projects. This includes digital tenders, operation and maintenance, and all the reskilling that is needed in the world, Mr. Khanna added. In the days ahead, India would be looking to strengthen its regional interconnectivity system, including the One Sun, One World, One Grid system that will allow grids from different countries to supply electricity to each other. India's rising leadership in solar energy is not just good for the planet, it's smart geopolitics and smart economics. With the right mix of ambition, talent, and execution, the vision of becoming the Silicon Valley for solar can turn into a defining legacy for India on the global stage. NATO defense chiefs held a candid discussion on Wednesday about what security guarantees that could offer Kyiv to help forge a peace agreement that ends Russia's 3-year war on Ukraine, a senior alliance official said. Italian Admiral Dragon, the chair of NATO's military committee, said that 32 defense chiefs from across the alliance held a video conference amid a US-led diplomatic push to end the fighting. Assurances that it won't be invaded again in the future are one of the keys for getting Ukraine to sign up for a peace deal with Russia. It wants Western help for its military, including weapons and training, to shore up its defenses, and Western officials are scrambling to figure out what commitments they might offer. Celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay has launched his first restaurant in India, Street Burger, at Delhi Airport. Ramsay's company, Gordon Ramsay Restaurants Global, has opened the outlet in partnership with Travel Food Services at Terminal 1 of Indira Gandhi International Airport. Ramsay and TFS plan to open 6 dining outlets across Indian airports. These will include Gordon Ramsay Plain Food, Street Burger, and Gordon Ramsay Plain Food to Go. Reports suggest that Mumbai Airport will host the second outlet in India. Travelers at Indira Gandhi International Airport can now enjoy some of the Michelin-starred chef's most loved recipes. With Ramsay entering the Indian market, fans hope to see a full-fledged restaurant in the country soon. Europe is facing an unprecedented surge in mosquito-borne diseases outbreaks, with EU health officials warning that climate change is driving longer transmission seasons and expanding the reach of viruses like chikungunya and West Nile. This shift is driven by climatic and environmental factors such as rising temperatures, longer summer seasons, milder winters, and changes in rainfall patterns. Conditions that combine to create a favorable environment for mosquitoes to transmit viruses. ECDC said in a statement. Europe has seen 27 chikungunya outbreaks so far in 2025, a new record for the continent. 8 European countries had reported 335 locally acquired human cases of West Nile virus infection and 19 deaths, with Italy being the country most affected by far with 274 infections.